we will let each speaker give 2 minutes to speak. So, Bailey, will you please call the first speaker?
Our first speaker is Violet Schaus.
Good evening. My name is Violet. I am 9 years old and I live in Midtown. I'm here tonight to speak about the proposed AI data center. Here are 6 reasons why I am against building the center. Number 1, energy costs. A single data center can use up as much energy as 100,000 homes. Larger centers can use up as much as 2 million homes. This could cause a big strain on our local power systems. Number 2, water supplies. Data center server coolers can use up to 300,000 gallons of water per day. Large ones can use 5 million gallons. This is the same amount that a whole small town can use. This could cause a major impact on our environment. Number 3, air pollution. Diesel-fueled backup generators release pollution into the air. This is harmful to people with asthma and breathing problems. One example in Virginia said that even though they limited their use of their backup generator, it could have caused almost $300 million in health costs in just 1 year. It also could have caused 14,000 asthma-related health problems in multiple states. Number 4, noise pollution. Data centers' cooling systems and backup generators are very noisy. Even small generators can reach 85 decibels. That's loud enough to harm our hearing. Large ones can reach 100 decibels, which is as loud as a jackhammer or motorcycle. These noises can last for hours or days at a time, giving people headaches and disrupting their sleep. Number 5, land use. Data centers use up 224 acres. That's the size of 450 football fields. That is an issue because it takes up land that could be used for many new businesses, homes, or farms. Number 6, job opportunities. While yes, building the data center would give people jobs, construction is temporary. Even the largest data centers only employ fewer than 150 permanent workers. Sometimes they employ as few as 25 people. That's not many jobs for how much land it would use up. Thank you.
Good job.
That was impressive.
All right, call the next
I
speaker.
just want to compliment that speaker on
Yes.
watching the clock and wrapping it right on the dot. That was grown-ups don't even do that, so congratulations.
Very good job. All right, please call the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Buchanan Dowling.
Myself to save time. We need this pause because of the staggering scale of what developers are trying to rush into our metro area. Let's look at the numbers. The contiguous section I just mentioned of Project Anthem is 1,361, by far the largest. Project Clydesdale in Owasso, 506. Project Atlas in Coweta, 450. Project Spring in Sand Springs, 827. There's Project Mustang in Claremore. Could not find the acreage there. That's over 3,100 acres total, nearly 5 square miles of proposed data center development. We desperately need a strategy of containment. It is clear that developers are rushing to get their projects approved before you can put proper guardrails in place. You might ask what we should do during this pause. Now, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just this month, Montour County, Pennsylvania, passed a comprehensive data center ordinance that you can use as a blueprint. Their ordinance legally defines data centers as unique structures. It mandates hard decibel limits for cooling systems, requires 24/7 noise monitoring, and strict vibration studies, massive setbacks from residential property lines, and independent hydrology studies so they don't drain our local aquifers. Other municipalities are waking up to the regulating this runaway train. Tulsa is flying blind. Working class families of the city should not be collateral damage in a big tech land grab. We need this time to do our homework and copy the homework of places like Montour County and write real enforceable rules. Pass the moratorium, freeze these applications, and let's take the time to get this right. Remember, they need us more than we need them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Cheyenne Morgan.
Hey y'all. My name is Cheyenne. I'm a homeowner in District 6. I am a national expert and researcher on the impacts of hyperscale data centers. I am being tapped by many different groups, both native and non-native. I'm asking you this evening to pass this data center moratorium. Data center developers are courting you all and planning staff with big promises that will ultimately fall flat. Developers make promises of increased jobs, carbon neutrality, water positivity, and having limited noise pollution. While in the construction phase of development, there are jobs that are needed to build out the infrastructure, but the long-term costs and job loss due to hyperscale data centers cannot be understated. According to the 2020 census, 33.6% of Tulsans hold bachelor's degrees or higher. Recent college graduates are already struggling to find employment in their field of study due to generative AI. Goldman Sachs just recently published a report that estimates that 300 million jobs are at risk of being automated due to generative AI. We're already seeing Oklahomans losing their jobs to AI. Job loss due to hyperscale data centers not only puts individual Tulsans at risk, it also puts tax revenue for Tulsa on the line. We're seeing states losing millions to billions in tax revenue due to tax incentives. See states like Virginia with $733 million in loss, and Texas with $1 billion in loss. Data center developers will make claims that their facilities will be carbon neutral and they are only measuring carbon footprints at the site. You must not ignore that energy that powers these facilities comes from the same energy that powers our homes, and PSO utilizes coal and natural gas for energy. Yes, the behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. Please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Ashley Lamont.
Greetings, Council. I am the National Campaigns Director for Honor the Earth, a 30-year-old international indigenous and environmental rights organization, a tribal member, and a lifelong Oklahoman. We have been helping communities all across the nation organize against the encroachment of hyperscale data centers and generative AI. As for myself, I hold 2 master's degrees in STEM, and knowing these facts is my job on a national level. I can attest, and surely you have seen for yourself, that the pushback against this specific type of development transcends race, class, party line, and location. I originally wanted to speak on environmental concerns, but time constraints and the recent conversations in the city surrounding policing, live PD, and First 48, I felt it critical to use my time here to also discuss what the data being bought, sold, and stored in hyperscale data centers is actually being used for: mass surveillance of American citizens. While I've yet to see or experience the benefits of generative AI or hyperscale data centers, one thing is clear: AI is being used by corporations in collaboration with the state to automate monitoring of the people, to expand state repression, and to centralize power into the hands of technocrats and politicians. Some may argue that this technology is neutral, but the truth is human beings have biases. MIT has already put out statistics that show that light-skinned men, there's only a 0.8% error, whereas for dark-skinned women, there's a 34.7%. So this means the AI apps that law enforcement are using lead to a lot of false positives and unreliable results for those who have darker skin tones. And we've already seen that happening here in Tulsa without this technology. And we know these biases exist in law enforcement agencies. Hence y'all's work with the Office of Independent Monitoring. The reality is the automated monitoring of human beings contributes even further to targeting errors and will only exacerbate the already existing issues between Tulsans and law enforcement. Law enforcement is retrieving this information from public and private databases alike, and we know that with the data leaks with Elon Musk and the hacks, that this is something leaving our communities at target. Of course, not to mention that these developments make us targets, not just from being hacked, but also as witnessed by the war on Iran and Amazon data center being hit by a drone strike.
Your time has expired. Thank you. Call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Mitchell Gilliam.
Hi, Council. I am Mitchell Gilliam from Council 4. Hi, Laura. I can truncate a lot of what I was going to say, but it was AI that was there. Part of the strike one of our first strikes in Iran, hitting that school for girls. AI, there are reports that played a big part in that. But moving on from that, we're at the beginning of the AI data boom. That's why they're trying to rush everything in right now that we see. There's an overwhelming number of reports on the detrimental nature of data centers, as the speakers before have said, about noise pollution, breathing, water, the use of resources. There are very few reports on the perceived advantage for the communities that house these massive data centers. In saying that we are at the beginning of the data boom, just yesterday, OpenAI unexpectedly shut down their video production app, Sora. That was a big part of what they were doing. One of these big rushes why we have to build now and throw everything out. Caution to the wind, and it's just gone, and a huge negotiation with Disney is halted. This uncertainty is reminiscent of the dot-com boom and crash in the late 90s, early 2000s. We're on a precipice. This is unprecedented right now, what we're walking into. This is life-changing technology, and a moratorium on data centers would allow Tulsans to carefully enter this new era with appropriate time to weigh the pros and cons. Thank you.
Please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Danielle Krezikowski.
Hello again, Council. Thank you very much for having us. I will try to be as quick as possible. Let me just reiterate some of my credentials. I have an accounting degree from OSU and MBA in finance from OSU. I am currently a CPA candidate, and if you know anything about the CPA exam, there is a very large portion that is based on ethics. You have to get a 90% or better in order to be a CPA on the ethics exam. So needless to say, ethics are very important to me. I am also a member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. I am also a certified ethical leader by the NASBA Center for Public Trust. So ethics are extremely important to me, and I'd like to read to you a definition. A conflict of interest occurs when personal interests, relationship, or outside activities compromise a person's professional judgment or duties, potentially leading to unethical decision. Types include self-dealing, nepotism, and gifts. Self-dealing/financial, when an official uses their position to benefit themselves or their organization financially, often termed acting on both sides of a deal. A board member voting on a contract involving their own company. An official allowing personal financial investments to influence their regulatory duties. I read an article the other day that Aon got a $174 million contract with data centers. One of our board members is an employee of Aon, and I don't believe that the conflict of interest has been admitted, and I believe that person should recuse themselves from a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Dan Blanchard.
Madam Chair, just like a point of information on the last speaker. So Councillor Bush, I think is who you're referring to, and I just want to say that we have discussed as a council with Councillor Bush. She brought it to us. And I don't want to speak for you, but I just did want to clarify that we did discuss our ethics ordinance, our processes for financial disclosure, which we all file publicly, and the consultation that we each engage in with the city attorney to review our potential conflicts, perceived or otherwise. That's why I recuse off the Arts Commission appointees. I don't have a conflict, but it could be perceived that I do. So I just wanted to give Councillor Bush the floor to clarify what she did for us.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the comments. I have actually recused myself from things when there has been a conflict. This was not a conflict of interest. We've checked with legal. I've read the ordinances. I've gone to the Code of Ethics. I've been in the political world for a really long time, so I do understand that, and I appreciate it. If there were a conflict, I would definitely recuse myself, but there isn't at this time. But I appreciate that. And thank you for the support.
Thank you. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Darren Blanchard. I live in Mounds Creek County. Some of you may recognize me as approximately about a month ago I was arrested in Claremore at a public meeting talking about a data center. I encourage you to propose or past this moratorium, as these projects are being fast-tracked, we can look at Stillwater, where we have a multi-million-dollar lawsuit as a result of not mitigating stormwater runoff properly. We can look at Sand Springs. There are multiple lawsuits, and they haven't even started construction yet. So it's just a sign that this is a mad dash to get these ARPA funds that expire at the end of the year. So again, let's put a pause on this. I've looked heavily into the situations of Coweta and Claremore. These are heavy industrial applications. They're putting in natural gas combustion turbine power plants to the tune of about 400 to 500 megawatts. That's a heavy industrial application. There's a lack of transparency with not only from our government, but the private developers as well. They're telling the communities one thing, but behind closed doors doing something else. I want to submit some documentations for the record. One of them is a communication from the Assistant District Attorney of Wagner County, where this project is at. Also a Tulsa World article in which they had interviews with multiple city managers, including one from Coweta, which called people Facebook warriors. I'm not on Facebook. I'm here. I went to jail for a cause that I believe in. And I think they criticized the people standing up and speaking against these projects, saying that we don't know what we're talking about. The problem is the government is forgetting to listen to the people. 13 letters of Latin, e pluribus unum, that stands for out of many one. Last I checked, there were 19 people here to speak in favor of the moratorium. Do not forget that. Listen to your people. This is not national security. This is corporate welfare. This is crony capitalism masquerading itself as national security. Get the moratorium. I want to present these for the record.
Thank you. Bailey, will you please call the next speaker?
Our next speaker is Nate Morris.
Hey, y'all. Good evening. First of all, thank you, Councilor Bellis, for bringing this to the floor for folks to be able to speak on and vote on. And thank you to Violet, to Shay, to Ashley, and everybody else who's laid out a really incredible picture of why this moratorium is important. I just want to give a personal anecdote. So I grew up in Prince William County in Northern Virginia. When I was a kid, a lot of the area that I grew up in looked a lot like East Tulsa now, or looked a lot like the kind of excerpts of Tulsa where there's a lot of land, there was a lot of trees, there were a lot of fields, a lot of battlefields for the history buffs up here. And a lot of, as I go back a couple times a year, slowly but surely, and faster at this point, the area that I grew up in doesn't look like the area I grew up in anymore. It doesn't look like fields. There's no more trees. There's no more areas that are beautiful and adjacent to battlefields. There's none of that. There are concrete boxes everywhere. Everywhere you look across Northern Virginia, everywhere you look across rural Prince William County, it's just concrete boxes of data centers. And so I just encourage, like, looking at this from a space of here's what has happened to the place I grew up, I'm encouraging you to please pass this moratorium in order to ensure that doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen to people here. So the kids that grow up here get to drive around East Tulsa, get to drive around the excerpts and still see fields and still see forests and still see hills. Granted, I think I grew up as a little bit prettier, but that's okay. No shade. It's gorgeous though, right? We had that ability to still be a big city and have this beautiful landscape. Why would we give that up for a few dollars? So I just encourage you to pass this moratorium. I also just want to say that in Prince William County, this has become the biggest political issue. And any of the politicians that were on the county commission that didn't stand for moratoriums or didn't stand up with the people are no longer in their seats. So just also giving you that view from the future as well. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. Bailey, please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Aiden Townsley.
Hi, Tulsa. I am Aiden Townsley, and while the focus of my time is mainly environmental, I appreciate a former speaker bringing up the massive surveillance risk of these data centers. Letting unstable billionaires try and gain power over citizens is not something that we can do. I'd like you to vote in favor of pausing all new data center projects, but I'd also implore you to go further and work towards pausing ongoing projects like Project Anthem Phase 1. With the advent of large language models, we've seen billions of dollars poured into data centers across the U.S. The behavior of these companies is appalling. And in many, if not all cases, there's been devastating impact to the communities where they're placed. We do not have to wait to see these impacts. There's already been noise, air, and water pollution all around them. Property values suffer. The job creation seems to be almost non-existent once the center is built. Memphis saw Elon Musk come in and promise that they're only going to run like 2 gas turbines. They're now running 35, continually, constantly being observed doing this illegally. And that's just like power, okay? We also see that like Anthem and Clydesdale want to use 3.2 billion gallons of water each year, and I do not think Oklahoma can sustain that level of ask. And then we talk about noise. These things can hit 97 decibels of noise, which affect people's ability to sleep in their homes, forcing some to pay thousands of dollars to insulate their homes just to sleep at night. This is an environmental health risk. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's clear that these centers do not benefit the community. They benefit these large corporations, and we can't let that happen. So Tulsa City Council, we're calling on you to do your duty tonight and protect people from data centers. Thank you.
Call the next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Kelsey Royce. Good evening. How are you? Good.
Great.
All right. Council, Chairman, I believe that this council owes the people of Tulsa and surrounding residents a duty of care and the integrity of its actions that is clearly undermined by making an exception for Project Anthem. I support the moratorium. I do not support the exception. Project Anthem is the private client of Tulsa Metropolitan Utility Authority's chairman, Mr. Lou Reynolds. And for those of you unfamiliar with Tulsa Metropolitan Utility Authority, TMUA, hereinafter, and the scope of its authority, this is a body that oversees infrastructure contracts and wastewater treatment improvements, storm sewer systems. It is clearly a conflict of interest for the private client of Project Anthem to sit on the body that he does. When you approve this with that exception, you are too included in this sort of corruption. Let's call it what it is. So I would encourage this body to not provide an exemption for Project Anthem. And I hope that you do the right thing, because that's what you owe us as representatives of the people and not Project Anthem. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Amber Ellis.
Hello, my name is Amber Ellis. I'm from Rogers County. I am here to speak on a side and an oath that each one of you take. You say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. That's the oath that you take. And you, okay. It's to the people, not to money. When you stand before the Lord at the end of your life, He will not say, good job on making billions of dollars a year and killing my children. He'll say, well done, faithful servant, or I never knew you. Depart from me. And your existence will end. And so, like before, every single one of you have an opportunity to turn things around for the people that you represent here. And I hope that you will make the right choice or lose your seat.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Kelly Bogman.
Good evening. My name's Kelly Bogeman. Do you guys mind stop scrolling on your phones and playing on your computers while we're talking? Thanks. I'm with Rogers County OK Land Heritage. I represent 493 people in my community. Job and goal of my organization is to protect the land in my community as well as the land here. I would like you guys to pass the moratorium. I think it will speak to the wisdom of this committee in that we need to reevaluate what we want and the future that we would like for our communities. Jobs. Meta had a recent layoff. AI is not a sustainable employment. If this wasn't a case of national security, they'd be building them on federal land that's been provided. It is a very harsh change in reality for many people across many communities for one data center. There is zoning. We've never had anything like this in Tulsa. We have two, but we need to reevaluate zoning and the type of conditions we're allowing in those zoning areas. We're putting these by homes, and that's the kind of reality that we are allowing these people to live with every day. Noise, air pollution, it's polluting our water, PFAS, forever chemicals. What are we going to drink? Where's the water going to come from? City of Tulsa has already done a study. Two data centers is what you guys are able to sustain. That's it. Where are you going to get the water? From the residents? I'm not sure. It also speaks to what else comes along with it, which is aluminum smelters, wind power plants, and solar power plants, which drastically changes a lot of people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is James Alexander Jr.
Good evening once again. Hey, in reading your backup, this is really something. Now, I'm going to talk from Georgia. Georgia is going to lose $2.5 billion in sales tax from their plant. Now, what these data centers do is they ask for a pause, not to have any more data centers, because what they're doing is they're stealing from the people that really need it. And it's called unconscionable. And these companies that are really rich companies are taken from the neighborhoods and families. Nobody see a problem with that? That's what's happening. But also in your backup, you have about maybe 40, 50 or more places where data centers can go in Tulsa County. Read the backup. Read it tonight. Because these people have already set up what they want without even asking you. Let's get this straight. This is illegal, and it's unconscionable, and it's a damn lie.
Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Bernice Alexander.
All right. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Jessica Peraza.
Hi. My name is Jessica Prasa. I also go by Junie. I am a resident and homeowner from District 3. I graduated from the University of Tulsa in 2022 with a degree in computer science, and I have a background in machine learning research. After graduation, I decided instead of pursuing tech and my undergrad research to dedicate my first years of my career to public service in Tulsa. Most importantly, I am a Tulsan, and I have lived in District 3 in the Kendall Whittier neighborhood pretty much my whole life. I'm here because I was honored to serve the public for a few years in the city. I'm concerned about the implications for myself and those communities if these developments continue.
There are an overwhelming number of reports on the detrimental nature of these data centers and very few on their positives for the immediate communities that house them. It is ridiculous to consider this project at this time when we could so easily utilize all of the resources described towards something better for this city, like equitable housing developments and environmental initiatives. Tulsans deserve so much better than this project. I'm in agreement with the proposed moratorium for the people that you serve in the city rather than corporations. Take care of your people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Joseph Benuelos.
Good evening.
What's up, guys? So I'm for the moratorium, and I just want to offer some perspective from the people that I know. As many people have said many great things today and set a great foundation to expand the topic of AI and data centers. There's a lot of people here in Tulsa who have benefited, who have had great memories because of the entertainment here in Tulsa and because of the artists here in Tulsa. The quirkiness of our town is very special to me, and I'm sure to a lot of you, that are here today. What generative AI will be taking from people, aside from their cognitive decline, will be taking away the creativity, the livelihoods, and the passion to make art. The art that we benefit from every first Friday, third Thursday, or whatever art you attend and leave home. For all the artists that can't be here because they have to work several jobs, for all the artists that are just now growing into their artistry, I think a moratorium is necessary for their growth, for the amount of jobs that they could have available in the future. And I think that if you in any way attribute yourself as someone who appreciates art, whether it be the clothing that you're wearing, the car that you chose, the things that you have in your home, you can do them all a service. Because I've spoken to almost every Tulsa artist I can imagine, and I know they're waiting for more help. They're waiting for more opportunity, and AI will take that away from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bailey, do we have two more speakers?
Our next speaker is Jamison Campo.
And then do we have another speaker?
Yes, we have
Okay,
two more.
Two more. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Council. My name is Jamison Campo, and I'm just going to pick up where our expert left off. I have seen the narrative that tech companies are aiming to be water positive by 2030, which is a wild claim considering the sheer amount of potable drinking water that these facilities will be using. With both Project Clydesdale and Project Anthem projected to use a collective of 3.2 billion gallons of municipal water per year, we must ask the question how these companies plan to be water positive. In reading some of the narratives directly from tech companies like Meta and Amazon around water positivity, they plan on offsetting their water use by doing things like watershed restoration, as if it somehow makes the water that they are discharging from these developments no longer polluted and undrinkable for future generations. Water positivity is just another false solution to the climate catastrophe and kicks the can of problems down the road. The claim that these developments will abide by state and federal environmental regulations is preposterous when we are seeing environmental regulations rolled back at an alarming speed, leaving citizens with little to no recourse to hold industries accountable. These so-called promises of being good stewards in the communities they occupy are false solutions to the huge environmental and economic impacts that they will have on us. As citizens of Tulsa, we are counting on our representatives in this body to have the ethical fortitude that benefits the citizens of Tulsa and not the industrial extraction. I implore City Council to pass this moratorium.
Thank you. Next speaker, final speaker.
Our next speaker is Michael Pagano.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you all for holding space for everybody to speak on this today. I wanted to speak in favor of the moratorium. I'm sure you figured. I pulled a couple numbers, and then I was just going to talk about like some personal stuff. But I pulled from Stanford University. These data centers are using this is in 2024. This is data from 2024. Data centers were using 7.4% of their state's power. Oregon, that's 11.4% of their state's power, and Virginia, 25.6% of their state's power. And the trend that we see in these data centers is that there's an acceleration in demand of power from the centers, and that increases relatively quickly. And if you kind of put that next to their employment, which rises really slowly and kind of stagnates, and they have, as I think somebody before me mentioned, a relatively small amount of employees that are like permanent. They get paid a decent amount of money. I also am concerned about monitoring and the consolidation of data. I feel like we're really running into really speculative new things, and a moratorium would allow us more time to take it, seriously. Like, I think it would be wise to. Okay, I read this. It feels like we're allowing wealthy shareholders and robber barons of today to gamble on the prospect of AI while offering up the health, lives, well-being, and future of our fellow human beings as collateral. And I would rather we not allow that to happen.
Bailey, just to confirm, was that the final speaker?
We have one more speaker.
Oh, one more? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
Tashi
right.
McKellop.
Stongo, Tashi McKellop, Jeff Goodos. It's good to see you all again. Thanks for having us here to talk tonight. I don't know how everybody gets up here and sounds so confident. I'm always like shaky. My hands are cold, but it's fine. I'm also in favor of passing the moratorium. I'm really begging you to pass this for the sake of the land, the water, and our people. I'm honestly not sure that there's much that I can say now that will convince you of this, of the importance of this, that all of my fellow Tulsans haven't already said. And to be completely honest, if you don't, I'm going to assume that your pockets are being filled, because I really can't imagine any other reason that you wouldn't be listening to the 19 people in this room today, all in favor of this moratorium, as well as all of the people who can't be here because, like you said, working class families, working jobs that are going to be affected the most by this. Yeah, there's just such a vast amount of evidence that I really think speaks for itself. So please listen to us and to your heart and pass this moratorium. Thank you, Meadow.
Okay, is there council discussion? Councilor Dutton?
I want to thank everybody that came out and spoke. I really appreciate that. And those in City Council District 3, thank you. I'm your representative, in case you didn't know. And I hope that everybody read the backup material because that's really important information. What I would like to address are the noise issues that North Tulsa and Northeast Tulsa deal with on a daily basis. We have the airport with F-15 fighter jets that fly 5 at a time, sometimes 6 times a day, from the morning and early evenings at night. That actually shakes the windows of my home. And if I'm on the phone with somebody, I cannot hear them and I have to call them back. I'm also concerned about the noise because we have the quarry, the APAC quarry, not too far from this Project Anthem location, which causes a lot of noise and vibrations where people's homes have actually sustained damage. I'm also concerned because Project Clydesdale and Mustang are within proximity as well, within District 3. And I also know that from what I read, that data centers primarily set up, despite the argument that there's available land more here than there, set up in disenfranchised areas where people have lower income levels. I'm also concerned, and I want to express gratitude for the bringing up of climate, that we are currently in a drought right now. There are no guarantees that we're going to have water to sustain, and we know we're in a drought because of all the fires that are ongoing just to the west of us. Some not too far. There's some actually in Barnsdall right now. So I am grossly concerned with you all, and I share the sentiment. If it were up to me, I would have a moratorium, period. I think that what my colleague has brought to the table and the discussions we had today, that this is the beginning. I know it feels like a compromise, but on the other hand, in order for a moratorium to take place, we have to start somewhere. And this is where we are going to start. I just want you to know that I support full-heartedly a moratorium. And again, I would like to reiterate, I would like to support a moratorium indefinitely. So those are my words. Thank you. I am finished.
All right. Councilor Bellis?
Well, if you want to go first,
You go.
I'm going to end up end capping
Oh,
it so I
perfect.
can go make a motion like a fancy person. But actually, could I just real quick? I'm so sorry, ma'am. With the the flash is on, and I'm neurospicy. Would you mind? Yeah, thank you so much.
You can finish it.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for speaking. I have a question for Susan Miller from the planning office. Can you come? And I'll just ask while you're walking. So, in the, from now until December 31st of 2026, can you just kind of give us an insight into the sort of work that you all at the planning office will be doing and presenting us? What can we be expecting?
So can you hear me? So we've just started to meet, started looking at things like the size of data centers. There's a map. If you Google like data centers in Tulsa, you can see them all. So we're doing a little research on the size of those and trying to understand where that threshold is. And we've looked at other ordinances, and sometimes there's, several different square footages, and there's different rules for those. So we're starting to look at that aspect of it. Setbacks are tricky because the noise carries a while. So to set it back 150, 200 feet may not even make that much of a difference. So we're looking at those things. Anything related to land use and how it can be placed on a site, proximity to residential. So those things that we can hopefully capture in a zoning code. And again, those impacts that could possibly make it more appropriate for modern industrial. So those are the things we're looking at. So we've started kind of looking at all different codes and different factors like that.
Thank you. It's my understanding Cherokee Nation also has some research that they're doing. You're going to incorporate that as well?
Yeah, we're going to reach out to them at some point. I don't even know that they've gotten started, so I don't know.
There's people behind you who are consulting on it, so we can.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know if we're going to be parallel. I don't know if we need to kind of get together at the beginning. If someone has some contact for me, that'd be great.
Okay. That's my questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Councilor Dutton, did you have something that you wanted to finish?
I'm sorry. I just also wanted to say that when we're back here on her phones, it doesn't mean that we're necessarily playing, that we're actually doing some data research as well. I appreciate it looks like that, but it's our ability to be able to access information to follow up with questions that maybe you all ask. Yeah.
All right, Councilor, anybody else down on that end? Councilor Bellis?
Okay. No, and thank you, Councilor Archie, for those questions, because I think that helped us reaffirm, what we're focusing on right now and what we're getting time to study is that land use element. And I really do want to thank everyone who took the time to come and speak, including from outside of Tulsa. Good to meet you all. And I'm really grateful for people's time and attention. And I acknowledge that this is not, you heard from Councilor Dunn going, I would do a moratorium forever on all of this. It wasn't easy for me to say, okay, we'll do certain exceptions in this or look at the different timelines, but I'm grateful to my colleagues for really nuanced discussion. I do think this is a good start point in us learning a lot more and doing what we can to put guardrails and do what we can to protect people. I'm also not someone who's going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I think what we are hopefully going to pass tonight is good and can make a difference. And I do also want to emphasize to people that while we have exceptions in place, that phase 2 of Project Anthem's not a foregone conclusion. It has to go through a zoning process that there's plenty of opportunity to publicly engage around. Anyway, with that, I'm about to make a lengthy motion. So I'm going to move to approve item 7B with the following revised language for section 2B, which reads, Project Anthem Phase 2, this moratorium shall not apply to one additional data center, which is the subject of pending zoning case Z7851, if and where appropriately zoned. So moving to approve that with the emergency clause.
Second.
All right. Lori, will you please call the roll?
May I, just a point of order real fast. In that motion, it's as it's written in the backup. It doesn't have anything to do with a 365-day moratorium anymore. It's
yes, as it is in the backup. Thank you. That's a really good clarification.
Yeah.
Do I need to redo that full motion? Oh, thank goodness.
I just wanted to emphasize or ask whether or not what's included in the backup,
this is
which is
through
not a 365-day.
It's a 9-month.
Yes, this is through just the end of the year. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good clarification.
All right. Now, Lori, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Dr. Wright.
Yes.
Counselor Lakin.
Yes.
Counselor Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper.
Yes.
Counselor Archie.
Yes.
Counselor Dutton.
Yes.
Counselor Bellis. Counselor Gilbert.
Yes.
Counselor Bengal.
Yes.
Okay. Motion is approved with the emergency clause and the amended language. Council item number 8, council items, councilors' announcements.